Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Crit Fumble. This is our Tales from the Table wrap-up with the Underworld campaign, the one that me, Gavin, just finished dungeon mastering. It was a lot of fun. So we're going to go some questions around the table today, and I don't know, maybe the characters have something to say about it. I guess we'll see. Let me turn up some music, and you get, fire it at me. Fire it at me.
Do the thing. I'm all pistons.
We're ready.
What do you say?
Heard it.
Yeah. Why don't I hear any music? Is it?
I don't know.
I also
hit
don't
play?
hear any music.
Yeah, okay,
I
hold
can't hear
on.
music.
My dog ate my homework.
Oh, do we actually really get to do a restart?
Oh, there you go. No, you don't get a restart.
Oh.
I'm just turning up the
it's coming
music.
in. No, take
There it
backsies.
is.
Yeah. What about? Are we doing the?
Oh, that's at the beginning. I just added that in on these ones. It's too much work.
Can you hear it?
I just intro it. Dun, 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 there you go. See, you heard it.
Adventurers.
I got a
Grab your
question for you.
nipples. Okay.
Yeah.
Grab your
How much did us taking out Lumina throw wrenches into your plans? I'm going to the big guns.
The Lumina thing was really interesting, and I actually think it really added to the story because, full disclosure, you were supposed to fight Lumina at the end, and she was going to be more powerful, especially if you hadn't defeated Malakar, because they were going to team up, so that it was that side of it. But you were supposed to fight Lumina, and she was supposed to be like the gatekeeper that you guys were going to take on, but then the Devouring Will was going to make an appearance, of course, after he comes through the gate. But then you guys destroyed Lumina, and I was like, wait, now someone has to be the gatekeeper.
Yeah.
I hadn't anticipated that, but this is way juicier than that. So
nice.
you guys actually that's the fun thing about D&D is I think that story is better than fighting Lumina than the Devouring Will. It's like, no, now someone has to be the fucking gatekeeper.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah. Anyway, that was.
Did you was Ellie ever going to be the big bad? Like when you were writing, she was always just because I was so convinced from the very start.
No.
That
Every time Ellie would come in, Russ would look over at me and just shake his head.
Yeah, I was
He'd be
like,
"This
oh,
fucking
mother,
bitch.
I know
Here she
it.
is."
She's a vampire.
No wonder I was pushing for killing her in that one. Yeah. I was like, let's just take care of the big bad right now.
Yeah.
Let's just get her.
So yeah, that was my question.
Yeah, no, Ellie was meant to be. I had anticipated her being a regular NPC, but I was also like, they could just talk to this girl and like fuck off and not care. So I didn't.
Right.
I had ideas for her, but she wasn't tightly stitched in the whole time until I knew that you guys had some buy-in on her, because I was like, it could be Kane. Maybe ask Kane to start adventuring with you or convince him or whatever. And that's the thing again with D&D is like you make NPCs and you have ideas, but I don't know what you guys are going to gravitate towards, and I don't want to railroad you. And you could have killed her, thinking like she's a monster. Fucking killed her, and I would have been like, all right, we'll just leave her out. Or maybe she comes back as like Lumina or something, whatever. Right. Yeah.
Along the lines of Lumina, like what was her? She kind of alluded to this past she had on the material plane. Did you have an idea for what that past was, or was it essentially like a wavy hands, don't look here?
No, I did have an idea. I didn't know if it was going to play out. My idea is she had a connection to Blackmore, the wizard that brought Ellie here, right?
Yeah.
And my idea was that they were in cahoots essentially, and Lumina had died during whatever event. I hadn't decided on that, and Blackmore was like, you can use Ellie to sustain yourself there, and I will keep her there essentially as like your life source. So part of the complication of that whole circle is like dealing with Lumina, who's tied to Ellie, but then also like trying to deal with Blackmore if you did escape, and that was going to be like a campaign 2 thing.
Because that was my big prediction. I had told Sean that, as I had predicted that Blackmore was the Devouring Will, and that is kind of along those lines, which was that Illumina and Ellie and everything was like tied back to Blackmore.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't.
No.
And I was actually kind of glad. I hate, when you guess the end of the movie and then you're like, I was right. I was right.
Was there anything we missed in the camp? Like, like where all those people were, like the tent was there, and like the kind of where we were chilling. What was that area called?
Whispers
Watch.
Yeah.
Did we miss anything there? Like, was there anything like we?
There was the one old guy that you guys totally blew past. I forget his name. I think it was Bardo, and he was like up working on the crates, and everybody kind of glazed over. And they're like, I'm going to talk to the weapon guy, and I'm going to talk to not Meredith. What was her name?
Whisper.
The Whispers lady.
Madam Whispers.
Madame Whisper. But no, yeah, I think his name was Bardo, and he was just like an old dude's been there forever, and he had so much knowledge that he would have given you guys. Like, if you go to talk to Malachard, like there's these traps and there's like this, whatever. Like he was basically the knowledge dude.
Right.
Yeah.
Mirabelle.
Mirabelle. Okay, I did have it right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Bardo was he never made. And again, right? Like,
Yeah.
I had ideas for Bardo, and like maybe he would have joined you guys. Like, he's an old injured adventurer, but he's like a salty old dude. But nobody talked to him. I don't think he even said one word.
I don't think we got a name. He was like, hey, it's that guy.
I would have dropped down right next to him because I was actually up above.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were like,
And I dropped down onto the crates.
Yeah, when I was like, there's
He's
that
like,
old guy
I've
there.
got good information, Mador. Shut up.
Shut up.
I'm not invested yet.
Where's the little girl?
You pleb.
I actually have a question from the Discord. We asked the Discord if anyone had any
Oh,
questions.
that's fun.
Ruby Jules wants to know, what did the player/DM enjoy most about this campaign? And she notes that we seemed more into our role playing than she's noticed we've been in the past.
I think one of my favorite things was it has to do with the role playing, but there was a lot of like backstory synergy, and everybody spent a lot of time on it and gave it to me, and it was like, I mean, it was a lot of reading initially, and I was like, holy fuck, you guys like went overboard. But it was nice to like really lean into it, and I've never done that in a campaign. Like I'll lightly touch on it, but this time like I had the idea of Underworld, but then I put the backstories as like the first thing, and then let it bloom from there instead, which was really fun. And it's funny because they say that in like D&D books and role-playing books. They're like, tie in your character backstories, but I'm always like, no, but I have like, I have
an
this idea. I want to do my idea, so blending the two, the books are right. Do the thing. That was my favorite part.
My answer would have been the same, actually. As a player, I thought you did a very good job of pulling our backstories in and making sure that they like showed up in the game, and it wasn't just like, 3,000 words someone decided to write for no reason.
Yeah, it was like the perfect
Dwayne,
setting
you wrote
for it.
3,000 words.
I don't know 3,000 words.
Oh, you can use the same one. You don't. It
Couple
doesn't have to be
times,
3,000 or different
Meow, meow.
words.
And
But no, that was like the perfect setting for it, I think, as well.
Yeah.
And it was by and far like the most I've been engaged with my character's backstory. I had no idea. Like Bastion was kind of a blank slate for me, even when we were first starting to figure him out a bit more.
Yeah.
Because it was so hard to play somebody who was just sad all the time. But yeah, that was probably the best sort of payoff long term that I think I've had for a character.
Awesome. Yeah, Bastion was fun. We started off, like you said,
Yeah.
you started off and I didn't really know anything about Bastion. I
Yeah.
knew like some of the key questions that I had asked you, but then like Opal came into it in a little more detail, and then is Tanya?
Tana.
Tana. And your wife coming into it, and I was like, okay, all right, now
Yeah,
there's like some
there's some
story
stuff
here,
to
and I can
work
start
with.
pulling
Yeah,
these
yeah.
strings. And then when you accepted the gauntlets, I was like, fuck yes. So
Yeah.
like I can pull on that.
did Tana have tiny hands as well? Or?
Tiny, tasty hands.
Yeah. One of the, I had a thought there. What was it? Oh, one of the things about the backstory, though, that I found really tricky with this campaign was the repetition. And eventually, like, especially with Bastion, like, I got more material. But it was with Mind and Spirit, the different realms, it was really hard not to, like, constantly, like, have you guys replay an emotion, or, like, how do you talk to this person, or what would you do in this scenario? I'm like, okay, how do I get that feeling or that moment without just like replaying shit from your past? You know, I found that really challenging.
I think you did that part really well, though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it always kind of like for me, it felt like it built on itself each time. Like there was always a new element that kind of got stacked in.
Right.
And there was something, I think Tash was the first person I heard mention it with this, where the characters didn't start off as friends. And everyone
Right,
was
yeah.
like a little antagonistic with each other.
Right.
I think that was a really fun one to start off with. And then there was those little moments of working together, and then Mador was the biggest shift.
Yeah. Mador was fun.
Bastion's original plan was that he was going to like lock Mador and not let him escape. Because he was
when you guys left, closed the portal.
That was going to be the thing.
Which is funny because that was my prediction that Mador takes over hell.
And this was going to be like, you don't get to escape, you don't deserve to live again. And then it was the moment where Ophi and Mador had that like commonality. And I was like, whoop. And that was the moment where I was like,
Right.
Bastion's sitting here alone.
Yeah.
Well, and Sherry like helped Mador out so much that I couldn't it didn't make sense for him to not change at that moment. You know what I mean? Because he he had like a 10-year therapy session in 2 seconds, and he was like, okay, I'm good now.
Yeah.
I had another question that's kind of like off what we're talking a little bit, because that's what we do. And how did you find it moving from the original studio to Little Dungeon? Because like halfway through the campaign, you've all of a sudden had to uproot
Yeah.
and move somewhere else. And I never really thought about that until this moment, because I'm now sitting obviously in the other chair.
Right.
And I'm like, oh shit, that would be kind of weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we were recording somewhere, you were bringing maps out and stuff, and when we came in here, I noticed that kind of ended for you, which I understand.
Oh, it was all right. The maps, like, it stressed me out a little bit at the beginning.
Yeah.
But everybody was like jazzed on it. I'm like, let's just do it. And what I think the catalyst was like, there was a big concert going on outside and we couldn't play that
Right.
night.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's just use the basement. But we've been playing at that office now for like a long fucking time, like five years,
Yeah, 5
you know?
years.
So it's like to go from that to this was like, yeah, it stressed me out a little bit. But once we were in here, this actually feels a little more like, you know,
It feels a lot closer. Yeah.
well, it feels like a D&D room. I don't know. It doesn't just feel like
Feels
we're playing in my
inside
office.
a D6 actually. Like
It's getting more
Yeah.
homely.
Yeah.
We've got some
Yeah,
lights
like-
going and stuff like that.
I actually do
That
like
too.
that it's smaller, and by comparison, I found
Yeah.
like having to shout across the far side of that table. It's a glorious table, but massive.
It's massive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just mindful of that, like, because like I thought that would be kind of. I'm such a creature of habit, so if like we had to move right now, I'd be like, it would fuck me right up.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't too bad. After like, you know, two recordings, I was like, all
Yeah.
right, this is our new home.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that I wish had happened after. So when Dwayne's character Cherie died early, I hadn't
First session, right?
Yeah.
I actually hadn't really thought out that I knew the death mechanic with the soul shards and you reappear, but I hadn't really anticipated it happening that soon. And I was still like, I was still.
I thought you were onto
brainstorming that.
something for sure. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, Dwayne's figured it out.
He's cracked the code.
I was, and then I realized later, like death should be not just like you reappear, like you do come back, but like with Bastion when he died, and I think there was someone else maybe. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Oh, Philly got a moment too with the will.
Okay, yeah. So that's what I'm getting at. I was like, oh, when you die, the devouring will is going to make a deal with you, or when you're about to die, or there's like this moment, right? And I wish like I had one written later for Cherie, kind of hoping that she was going to die. So I got to read that. I should almost read it for you, the death narrative. But
Because Mador didn't die either, so you didn't get to read any of his death
I
narrative.
have death narratives for everybody in case it happened.
Do it. Drag it out.
You want me to drag it out?
Drag it out. Yeah,
All
why
right.
not?
Do it.
Text
Why
it
not?
to us.
All right.
Yeah.
It'll
Text
take me.
it to
It'll
us.
take me a sec to.
Well, do you want
open
me to
up
ask a
either.
question for the players?
Yeah,
then?
yeah, do it.
Okay. Was there a moment that any player had where their character surprised them? Where your own character surprised you? Yeah, Dwayne, you're nodding.
Yeah, yeah.
Why don't you start?
When she yeeted herself.
Why?
I think that was that moment. It was
I saw that one coming a mile away.
If Darwin was there, you'd been following her for sure.
I was just thinking, like, again, one of those things for me, like classic overthinking, but for her, I think she was able to kind of turn a corner around that. Like she's paying her dues right up front.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was the piece where when she jumped. And then again, later on when she took Skoogie's wings. That
was so heavy.
Man.
Yeah.
Tash's
I
face.
forgot about that.
Tash's face was. I almost
you had
screamed into
wings?
the mic. I was like,
My jaw was like.
I didn't think your jaw could get that low.
Yeah,
I was
it was
like,
good.
jeez.
Oh, I've seen him get a jaw that low.
Whoa.
whoa.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a good one.
It was
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah, that was great.
I think for Mador, it would be obviously what we were just talking about, like his change, like because I didn't think that was coming, so I was like, oh fuck, I've got to do something with Mador. But I think the thing that for Mador was how much everybody loved the dogs and hated me. It was just like,
Yes.
it's not even something I did really. It was just like you guys just started adopting the dogs, and then
I love the
something
dogs.
that started happening. I was like, I just stopped giving a fuck about the dogs. I wasn't even really bringing them up anymore.
We
really.
were the ones being like, where are the
Yeah.
dogs?
What's
Where is
going
that
on?
dog? Do you
Like
need to summon
stupid
it?
dogs.
Is the bow tie back? Yeah.
So good.
I don't know if there was a moment where Skoogie surprised me. I found that I very much had to make decisions that I wouldn't normally make.
Yeah.
It was kind of the bigger thing. So there's a lot of like, just trying to do what's right for the character instead of like what your own personal morals might tell you
Right.
to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was very, very similar sort of thing with Bastion. And
Yeah.
like, there's the moment I think where everyone had their big breakthroughs And Passion just was just like rutted in the mud, and like Sean wanted him to move forward. It's like, nah,
Right.
he's not ready. Yeah.
I think that my moment of surprise for Ophilia was actually right at the end, where I was pretty sure wherever Skoogie went, she was going anyway, even at the end there.
Yeah.
And then Skoogie's like, cool, well, I guess we'll just keep going. And I was like,
No.
Ophilia's not going.
Yeah.
She's got other things she needs
I
to go
actually
figure
didn't-
herself
I didn't
out.
anticipate that either.
No, me
And it
neither.
wasn't until that moment that I was like, I don't think she can. I think she's like, everyone is like, okay, well, back to, Skoogie's essentially like, back to business as normal. Like, let's go back to the original plan. And she's like, I've changed and I don't know who I am now, but I can't figure that out with you.
It was such a perfect moment though,
It was
because it was
great.
like that paradigm shift was interesting, and Tash had given me the
The
pendant that he had made, and he's like, you can give it out whenever. And I was like, I kept it in my mind. I was like, I don't know when the moment is. And then like this is all happening, and I like sure everything's wrapping up, but I was like, this is the time that Scotty's going to present herself with this
Totally.
pendant.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, fuck
Well,
it.
And then that moment too of having her be like, there was this instinct where I was like, okay, well, she's turning around. She's got to take it back to, but he doesn't learn anything either if she
Yeah.
goes and takes it
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
And
And they both need to grow that way. Yeah.
speaking of giving out pendants, we now have your gift for you for
Oh.
the campaign.
Yes.
Oh, that's exciting.
This is going to be really exciting. What's it got in the front there?
What is that?
cash.
Dollars.
Money. I love it. I'm opening a box.
It's a box of cash.
It's you.
It's 22. I was like, initially, I was like, this doesn't look anything like Lark. Oh my God, this is hilarious.
I love
It's
the,
me with my bandana, except I have a gun
Yeah.
and a laptop.
That's my
It's a
favorite
Glock.
part.
It's so good.
Russ said that he looked for. He tried to give him a wad of cash, but they didn't have that as an option. So.
Yes, you got gold coins on the floor there.
That is awesome. You guys are amazing. This is great. This is going on my
And we all
desk.
got it tattooed on our butts
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Dub
Dub 22.
The same thing.
Pass it around so because nobody else has seen it.
Nobody else has seen it?
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
Not painted.
Thank you, guys. This is hilarious.
Yeah, I wrote the cash on the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cash. So good.
We tried to find a pose where he looked like he was doing a happy dance after
Yeah.
closing a deal, but
No, it was perfect. That's better. I look way more badass than that.
Yeah, this is kind of like what happened after that video, I feel.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
We went to
Like-
like dystopian
Looks like
future.
he has-
Yeah.
It looks like he hasn't slept for a few days.
Yeah.
Accurate.
Well, what happened is when
All the cocaine.
when I did the what's it called, the primer. I did the primer on it.
Yeah.
And either I didn't shake up my primer properly or it was too hot. And when I sprayed it, it just put texture all over it, so it was super hard to paint.
Oh no.
It was essentially like painting
don't
grip
bring
tape.
up mistakes. You
No,
won't
I think it
notice.
looks
You
great.
won't notice.
Yeah. No, it's great.
That's wonderful.
That's awesome. Sorry, Gavin. Did you want to read your thing?
Oh yeah, let's do it. Let me shift the music so it's more fitting. We'll go to Shadowfell.
So good.
All right, so this is the one that if Cherie had died, you awaken not in darkness, but in warmth. The scent of fresh bread fills your nose, your mother's recipe, the one that made the Bellatrix name famous in every tavern from here to the city gates. Your home, standing in the farmhouse kitchen, sunlight streaming through the windows, you scrubbed clean as a child. Everything is exactly as it was before she came, before everything went wrong. But there's someone at the table, not your father, not your mother, not even her. A figure sits calmly, cutting slices from a still, warm loaf. Its movements are deliberate, practiced, like someone who has done this 1,000 times, like family. You always did love this place, it says, not looking up. Before, well, the poison. Before the lies. Before you learned that mercy and justice rarely shared the same beds. The figure finally raises its head. No face, just shadow, wearing your stepmother's smile. But the voice is warm this time, understanding, almost maternal. She deserved what you gave her, Cherie. Every lingering moment, every careful dose, you were protecting something precious, weren't you?
Hell yeah.
And then there was the offering and stuff like
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah,
great.
that's cool.
And then we had one more. It was
Actually, before we move on, would she have taken the deal?
Oh, do you want me to? I can quickly go over what the offering was.
Yeah.
I'll just read it out. You carry guilt like a stone in your chest, but guilt is just love with nowhere to go. I can teach you to channel that love properly, purposefully. No more hesitation, no more wandering. If your anger is righteous, I will show you the difference between justice and vengeance, and why that difference doesn't matter. The figure slides a steaming cup across the table. Tea made from herbs you recognize. The same blend you used. The same careful preparation. Drink and never again wonder if you're the villain in someone else's story. You simply be the one who decides how all stories end. The effect is once per long rest, when Shri deals damage with a spell attack or melee weapon attack, she can declare that the target be judged. The target takes an additional 2d8 psychic damage and must make a wisdom saving throw of the whatever. And on a failure, they are frightened of Shri until the end of their next turn as the experience overwhelms them with guilt.
Wow.
Yeah.
Would Shri have done it?
I don't think so. I think the yeet in the front and the beginning of it was enough to pay her dues. And then like when she moved into making a decision on wings or taking care of herself, she took care of herself.
Yeah.
So
Wait, like wings?
Wings, yeah, like Skoogie's wings.
I thought you meant
right?
like going for wings.
What was asked of her was like, "Are you going to bear his burden?" And she's like, "Fuck no."
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the only other one was Made. Did I read everybody else's? I think it was Mador.
Yeah.
Right? Do you want me to read yours?
No,
We don't have to. Okay.
no. I'd rather. I'm happy with how Mador everything went for Mador.
Yeah.
So I think if you,
All right.
I maybe text it to me.
Okay.
And I'll decide if I want to read through it. Because I kind of tied up that with a bow.
Yeah.
And
Feels like it would undo some decisions.
yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Cool. That was it. It was a fun campaign. I really enjoyed it.
No, it was
enjoyed the
great.
shit out
It
of
was
it.
a great campaign.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
That's the first time that we did. Yeah. Because I only played
Pirates.
Pirates.
Yeah.
Everything else was one shots.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's it for I think for Tales from the Table. Unless anybody has anything else, and then we have a quick little a segue.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I also wanted to say just like thanks to all the sponsors as well for that campaign.
Yeah.
We had.
Yeah.
We had UFF. We had Sticker App.
And Witch Hazel.
Witch Hazel Dice.
Toyota gave us cars.
Yeah.
Aaron
So
wrote us
fast.
smut. Well, actually, not smut, but close to it.
Yeah.
I thought you weren't supposed to tell us who it was.
Cowork got
No,
us
EQ.
a room.
EQ wrote the. Yeah.
Co-work.
EQ.
Yeah, we had
Co-work.
co-work.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dwayne.
And Dwayne
Yeah.
Orser
Dwayne
Orser Services.
DeWalt.
Well, Dwayne gave us all
Windsor
Dwayne.
plywood.
He gave us Dwayne bucks. We all got a handful of Dwayne bucks.
Yeah.
Rare.
Yeah.
Which
Rare
which is
commodity.
really, really
And
useful.
wood.
He's going to read free ads
You gave
for
us
the
wood?
whole
Yeah,
campaign.
well,
He gave us wood.
I don't know. That's awkward, Gavin.
Yeah. So anyway. Next up we've got my campaign starting. So it's going to be my first time doing a full campaign with you guys because I've only ever done one shots as well.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
And it's called An Unfortunate Use of Magic. And here's a little something I wrote about it. There is magic in the air, always present, always whispering. You have to listen with your soul and see with hidden eyes. The winds have changed, the suns do glare, the light iridescent. Always teasing, you have to listen with your heart and see what truth lies. There is magic in the air. Can you hear? There is magic in the air.
Adventurers, grab your weapons. But first, kiss your kin. The wilds call.